But first, it's my brain dump. We're now just a week away from the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, a 4-day celebration of Britain's greatest ever monarch and her 70 glorious years on the throne. I'm genuinely excited about this amid all the hideously depressing news at the moment: war, school shootings, economic crisis. This is a chance for my country to put a smile on the world's face by doing what we do best: pomp, pageantry, and one hell of a party. It's also time to pay tribute to a remarkable 96-year-old woman who's always represented the very best of British values: dignity, humility, hard work, stoicism, selfless duty, and the stiff upper lip. Unfortunately, jetting in next week are a royal couple who represent the complete opposite. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the southern England county that I come from, incidentally, where they spent precisely 3 hours, are a pair of undignified, whining, hypocritical, virtue-signalling, selfish wastrels. The privacy-demanding, poverty-preaching, carbon-conscious couple will fly 5,000 miles, spewing 1.5 metric tons of CO2 emissions from their $11 million mansion in California, accompanied, of course, by the Netflix documentary camera crew, currently recording their every move for a Kardashian-style reality show. The emissions of most concern to me, however, are the noxious, toxic fumes they will inevitably emit from the moment they land here and try to make the Jubilee all about themselves. Banished from the Buckingham Palace balcony for the Trooping of the Colour opening celebrations next Thursday, it's now been reported they will nevertheless be with the Queen at a Thanksgiving service in St Paul's Cathedral on Friday, billed as the biggest royal gathering since their wedding. And I'm already shuddering at the thought of how this fame-hungry duo will hijack the headlines from the woman who should be getting them, purely to cement their rival royal brand and satisfy, of course, their Netflix paymasters. The only place I want to see them, beside the Queen in public, is at Madame Tussauds. Frankly, I'm also bemused they're flying here at all, given that Meghan's father, Thomas, lies seriously ill in hospital after suffering a stroke. Meghan and Harry love to preach about compassion, yet they show none of it to their own families. If they had an ounce of real compassion, they'd cancel their trip to the Jubilee and visit Thomas Markle in hospital. That would be the first time, incredibly, that Harry would have ever met his father-in-law. But that would also mean missing the chance to further exploit their royal status for big bucks. And that ain't going to happen. In a blazing protest against cancel culture, best-selling author and feminist firebrand Margaret Atwood has created a one-of-a-kind, burn-proof copy of her book The Handmaid's Tale, which she's auctioning to promote free expression. Besides being a very clever publicity stunt, she makes a very good point. It's a scary moment in our cultural evolution, with people lining up to cancel books they consider problematic. Where have we seen this before? Oh yes, Nazi Germany. This is what happens when societies go fascist. Schools in the US have deshelved books like Of Mice and Men and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn over apparent racism concerns. In the UK, universities have axed Shakespeare in attempts to decolonise creative writing. We've even seen classics like To Kill a Mockingbird sidelined for promoting a white saviour narrative. But it was published in 1937. Of course, it's dated. These are not manuals on how we ought to think now. They're works of literature that reflect the times in which they're written. It's teachers' jobs to provide context and inspire debate, not indoctrinate our kids by only teaching today's wonky, woke values. Because guess what? As Ricky Gervais always tries to tell them, those values today will soon be outdated too. Well, Catherine Birbalsingh, who's a prominent head teacher at a school in London, has spoken out to say she's worried that some classics will disappear altogether. Eventually, she says, we will do away with cultural icons like Shakespeare. I do think that dead white men are really important. Now, she's not against adding more black female authors to the curriculum. As she points out, she is a black woman. But she thinks there's still a lot to learn from dead white men. And she's right. Who wouldn't want our children to bask in the beautiful words of these literary giants? If music be the food of love, play on. Shakespeare, of course. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, the great Charles Dickens. And The World's Gone Nuts. I think you'll all agree a classic. It's just I'm not actually dead yet. She was the face of US daytime television for almost 20 years and also the self-appointed face of the #BeKind movement. Busy work, but then having two faces has never been a problem for Ellen Degeneres, whose final show airs in America today. Here she is at her most insufferable
Thank you for being here. You're here on a special day, I'll tell you that. Today, I don't know if you know this, but it's World Kindness Day. Yes, it is. Since I preach kindness every day, this is a big one for me. This is like my Super Bowl or my World Series or my, I don't know any other sports, that's all.
Well, Ellen's show is billed as an oasis of calm and kindness, where celebrities were her best friends and lavish donations transformed the lives of the most deserving in society. It even had a logo reading, "Be kind to each other." The only problem was that behind the scenes, she was just about the least kind person in the history of global television. Staff reportedly endured an endless toxic bullying culture of discrimination and sexual harassment, for which she eventually issued a grovelling on-air apology. This tweet from the archives aged about as well as an open yoghurt in the desert. "I made one of my employees cry like a baby on today's show. Honestly, it felt good." Now, she might have been joking, but that's exactly what was going on behind the scenes. So goodbye and good riddance, Ellen, because like so many woke celebrities, you're a complete fraud. Here on Uncensored, we like to support the little guy, the people who slog and toil through every hardship to keep the world spinning. And tonight I want to pay tribute to the people who do the very worst jobs in the world. There are quite a few candidates. The cow backside inspector, for example, or Boris Johnson's secretary for defending the indefensible, Mr. Shapps. It could be the cleaner at this warehouse. But we do have a late entry and I think a definite winner. How about being the other half to the world's worst celebrity narcissist? Madonna, age 63, is reportedly auditioning for a new boy toy after splitting from her 28-year-old backing dancer lover, presumably because he's now far too old. A source close to the cringe-making singer said the thought of grey hair or wrinkles is a massive turn-off. What she wants is a hard-bodied, hot guy in his late 20s. Right. But has anyone given any thought to what that poor guy is going to have to deal with? Whoever that poor guy turns out to be, I wish him all the very best of luck because he's going to need it.